All right, today we're going to talk about the money market graphs. This is the graph that we use in conjunction with banks and monetary policy. So you can see in the graph, we start up in the top left, that our money market graph is a downward sloping demand curve and a vertical supply curve. And the equilibrium point on our graph allows us to determine what the interest rate in the economy is and the quantity of money that's available in the economy. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down the demand and the supply for money that we use on our money market graph. So if we start with the demand for money, you can see that the demand for money shows us how much money that people in the economy want to hold as cash. I think that's very, very important for us to understand or to realize, is that we're only talking about how much money people want to hold as cash, not put in the bank, not any other kind of money, just how much money we actually want to hold on to. Okay? Now, our demand determinants are the factors that are going to cause that demand curve on our graph to change. And you can see that there are three demand determinants: price level, GDP, and banking technology. So I'm just going to go through each determinant in a second and allow you to see how each determinant would change our demand for money as cash. So when we have a change in price level, that means that things in the economy are going to cost more. So let's say that this increase in price level happens in the economy. Well, when things cost more, people naturally need more money to buy those more expensive things. So we naturally are going to hold more money as cash. So I'm going to say then an increase in price level will increase the demand for money. Second, a change in GDP. Now we need to remember that changes in GDP really are the same thing as a change in income. So when our GDP changes, we're producing more stuff, our income levels are going up. And naturally what's going to happen when there's an increase in real GDP is we're going to see that people, again, are going to want, or they're going to hold, more money as cash. Last, changes in banking technology. Banking technology actually allows us to spend our money without needing to hold on to it. So when we have an increase in new banking technology, like new payment methods, like maybe PayPal, Venmo, using ATMs or using debit cards, that increase in banking technology actually is going to make it so we hold less money as cash and decreases the demand for money. So those are the three main causes or factors that would shift your demand curve in the economy. And remember, our money market graph is just like any other graph. An increase is a shift to the right. A decrease is going to be a shift to the left. Okay, next, let's talk about the supply of money. The supply curve on our money market graph is a vertical line. And that's because that supply curve represents how much money is available in the economy, and it can only change when the Federal Reserve changes it. It's controlled by the Federal Reserve. So that makes it vertical. Nothing else changes our supply curve. So if you look at these supply determinants, you can see that they are three monetary policy tools. So monetary policy is what actually changes the supply of money in our economy. So I'm going to break down each determinant. Number one is the required reserve ratio. So if we split that up, it can do two things. We can have an increase in the required reserve ratio. When that happens, that causes a decrease in the money supply. Or we could have a decrease in the required reserve ratio. And when that happens, that causes the money supply to increase. Next, discount rate. Again, two options. We can increase the discount rate, and that causes a decrease in the money supply, or we can decrease the discount rate, and that causes an increase in the money supply. So you can see in all of these scenarios with these determinants, the change in the rate is inversely related to the change in the money supply. And for our last, OMO stands for open market operations. Again, there are two options. We can buy bonds. When we buy bonds, bigger bucks, we increase the money supply. Or we can sell bonds and shrink the money supply by taking money away from a bank's excess reserves. So if I was to give you a quick example of this, let's draw a graph. We've got our demand curve, our vertical supply curve. We've got our nominal interest rate, and we've got our quantity of money. Let's say that our Federal Reserve uses monetary policy, and they're going to buy bonds. We'll say you're the Fed buys bonds. Well, we know by looking at those determinants that buying bonds increases the money supply. So I need to shift my money or my supply curve to the right. When I do that, I can see on my graph that that's going to cause a decrease in the nominal interest rate.